Hello, everybody. My name is Reinaldo Rodríguez. I am a candidate master from Venezuela. Today, we are going to analyze the decisive result of the last tournament in the Magnus Champion Chess Tour final, played between Magnus Carlsen and Wesley So. The decisive result happens in an Armageddon game where the world champion was playing with white pieces and Wesley So with black pieces.
Draw here. What was that all about?
I felt like shit and I didn't want to play.
Okay, what do you mean by felt like shit? Your form?
Yeah, I was just I don't feel good today. Hopefully I'll feel better tomorrow.
All right, so banking everything on tomorrow.
Magnus, if you're still not feeling great tomorrow, will you continue with the same strategy? Will you try to force yourself out of this funk somehow?
Yeah, we'll see tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be better.
Let's start with the game. In this game, Magnus opened with e4. Wesley replied with e5. So Nf3 Nc6, bishop c4. Here we have the Italian game. Remember, in the Armageddon game, white played with 5 minutes, no increment, and black with 4 minutes. So typically the strategy is go for a long game with keeping a lot of pieces on the board, and probably the best opening to look for that situation, it should be the Italian game. Remember that we comment in previous videos that one of the features of the world champion is that he's very clever in his opening selection according to the needed result. So knight f6, and here we have d3. Well, two nice defense by black, and d3 defending the pawn. This is known as the Giuco pianissimo. Here bishop c5, short castle, and a6. This move is quite popular. Sometimes the idea of this is prepare some possible g5 in case that white do a kind of premature h3 because black can try to get the rupture point. Also, in this position, d6 is an interesting alternative, hoping to play again some case of premature picks. But okay, Wesley went for a6, now c3. The pawn prepares possible advance to d4 in the middle game, short castle, and now b4. With this setup, the Giuco pianissimo, white just decide to win some space on the queen side. And after a6, normal developed move, knight bd2. In this position, one of the move that is quite frequent at clock level used to be this one. And here there is a typical dilemma if take the bishop or not. The conclusion is that the capture of the bishop should be okay because after this, black can simply push the pawn to d5, reacting in the center, and after the capture, the recapture. Normally, this central reaction with d5 is possible because with double pawns on the e file, white don't have the e1 square available for the rook in a semi-open file to put pressure on this target. Let's compare with another situation. For example, instead of bishop e3 in case of knight bd2, if black react in the center with d5, that is possible. White can capture, but now this move is really quite annoying because the e file is completely open and black will have some difficulties to protect the pawn on e5. So in case that in the Italian game, your opponent play some bishop e3 instead the knight bd2, just take and react in the center with d5. It should be a reasonable option. But okay, Magnus did knight bd2, d6, now rook e1. The plan typically for white is knight f1, knight g3, preparing some d4. In this moment, Wesley did knight e7. This is a typical knight maneuver, avoiding the control of the pawn and looking for the outputs on f4. But the knight leaves the control of the d4 square, and the world champion just pushed the pawn to d4, being consistent with the logic of the game. So pawn takes, and here at this moment, remember we are playing a blitz game without increment. Wesley did a stereotypical move. Normally, the way to fight for the control of the space is reacting in the center. And here Wesley did it with d5. But in this specific situation, this reaction is kind of premature because white now can push to e5, and after the capture on f6, this will be a target. For example, e5, if black takes the bishop, white takes on f6, destroying black kingside pawn. So this was really a very unpleasant surprise for Wesley, who retreat the knight to a7, probably looking for this square and the blocking situation on e6. Magnus retrieved the bishop as far as possible. Now knight f4 to continue with the maneuver. Here, Magnus did knight b3, two ideas, looking for the outputs on c5 and also creating a discovery attack over the knight hanging on f4. So here we have knight eg6. Here in this position, probably it would be better for black just regroup. Okay, maybe it will be a more practical decision, you know, in order to regroup and don't play with the pieces kind of overexpanded. So remember, knights on 3 knights usually are not too good. So here a5. The idea of this move is fix the flank to secure the control of the outputs on a5, because with this square available, probably black can push eventually, hitting the base of one of the supporters of the outputs on c5. So fixing the flank, white is fighting for the control of the outputs on c5, bishop a7, and now bishop takes f4. We used to say that the bishops are better than the knights, but in this case, this bishop was in the same corner of all the pawn structure. So basically, the world champion just get rid of it. Now with queen d2, he's using the positional pattern, attacking the knight and connecting the rooks. We have knight g6 and knight c5 taking the outputs. This knight here is controlled by the bishop on ca, but in order to keep the control over the knight, the rooks should be disconnected. Also, if black is hoping to remove the strong outputs, needs to trade the direct score bishop for the knight, as happens in the game. So black now in this position, the valoration is more or less balanced, 0.8 in favor of white. But the next move that black did is correct strategically, because you know he's trying to fight for the control of space. But on the other hand, is incorrect because creates some tactical motive. Black did f6, hoping to challenge the advantage of space, but this creates a tactical motive that is the knight hanging on g6. In this moment, a better alternative, it could be just a normal developed move, like bishop g4. But this move is really kind of risky because the pawn on b7 will be hanging. But in this position also, black is threatening the creation of a damage on the king side structure, exposing the white king. For example, I'm going to show you a sample line in case of knight takes on b7, queen ca, attacking the knight. So bishop takes, defending the knight. And after this, black can try to transfer the pieces towards the king side, and really the position can be quite difficult to defend for white. So in the game, Wesley didn't complete development, moving the bishop, because maybe he was concerned about the pawn on b7, and he did f6. So now bishop d3, hitting the bishop hanging on g6. And in this moment, really, that knight don't have too many squares available. So for that reason, Wesley decided to push the pawn to f5 in order to close the diagonal. But the position that we are getting after this is the center is completely blocked. So even despite black have the bishop pair, the character of the position is more close and open. And for that reason, the knights are really very strong in those kind of situations. So bishop c2, rerouting the pieces, probably looking for some pressure on d5, also enabling knight the d3 square for the knight. So rook e8, and now g3, the pawn to square away of the knight, controlling the knight. And finally, we decide to remove the outputs because that knight on c5 was controlling too many squares in black territory. In this position, Magnus recharactered in a quite natural way. You know, usually used to be the best towards the center. Even despite that, it's important to comment that the dot engine suggestion at the moment is the capture with the central pawn, and probably the reason of that is just enable liberate space in order to try to get this location for the knight. But you know, this really looks a little bit more natural in order to keep the central control, and also with the new B open file created, there is some pressure on the backward pawn on b7 that is fixed by these two guys on the figure. So Wesley did bishop e6. Now rook b1, pressing the new unprotected pawn, rook ba, and rook e3. This move really is very clever. The world champion prepared the rook lift to keep pressing the backward pawn along the b5. Knight e7, rook b3, attacking on b7, and here queen c8 in order to defend the pawn on b7. So the continuous pressure on b7 kicks the pieces, in defensive labors, especially the queen. So now here we have knight h4. Really, this maneuver is quite interesting because this knight was protecting the base of the pawn chain, but also kind of collapsing against the structure. So with this move, White is looking for this maneuver to try to have the knight in front of the most advanced pawn of the opponent, hitting the bishop, and probably after if the knight gets f4 and propose an advance like g5, then I can try to get this output on f6. But okay, rook f8, knight g2, bishop d7 here, g5 to control the knight may be a try, but the downside of the move is that White will have a rook to point, probably opening the keys. So bishop d7, h4 to prevent g5 in some case, before go with the knight to f4. And here, yeah, I mean, this move is correct. I remember that during the live comments of the game, I think was the British Grandmaster David Howell was commenting that in this position, he disliked a little bit the move because this allows bishop a4, giving to black the opportunity to trade the bad bishop that is in the same color of the structure for the good bishop as white. So here, instead of h4, maybe it could be interesting for white to do something else. For example, like bishop d3 in order to prevent bishop a4 and keep the best pieces on the board. But okay, remember, this is Blitz games, no increments, so we have to be practical. h4, a bishop a4, rook b2, and after the trades, here Magnus captured with the queen. This is normal in order to kick the pressure on b7, but remember the principle suggests that with the less valuable pieces used to be the best. The capture with the queen allows f4, and in case of knight takes, the sacrifice of the exchange, creating a lot of weakness in the position with some possible perpetual checks in the position. So here we are in a case of an section. Really, in order to prevent any counterplay in relation with the advance of the pawn to f4, it would be better for white just take with the rook, stick to the prince. So well, queen takes. Yeah, this position is a losing position in the strategic point of view for black. So right now, really, black should go for something like f4 to try to create some chaos that, objectively speaking, is the best, according to the AG suggestion for the reasons already explained. So knight c6, attacking the base on d4. Also, this makes a lot of sense. Queen c3 to square away of the knight. Now f4 is available again. But okay, g5, probably preparing f4. And after pawn takes, now no more chance for black to push the pawn to f4. So here we have this. So we can see with this expansion, white is trying to force the g5 pawn to take a decision, because in that way the knight will be liberate again. Also, with this advance, white fixed the pawn on f5 that leaves the queen blocked by his own pawn structure. Also, one of the advantages of the advance for black from f5 to f4 is that eventually the queen can try to get some of the invasion squares on g4 or h2. But okay, f4 king g7. Now it's all about trying to take the control of the unique open file in f2 to the corner, and here we go with pawn takes. The idea, enable f4 for the knight. So Wesley pin the knight before the knight take that location. And now here we have a really very good move by the world champion, queen f3. So with some seconds on the clock, he is taking these risks based in just accurate calculation. He's leaving the pawn on d4 hanging because he relies in the capture of the pawn on d5. Normally, you may have a good feeling for this variant because the queen is vying to the defense of d7, and the queen on d5 will be centralized, and really the position is getting open. We can say both kings are really quite exposed, but the black king for sure is more exposed than the white king. So with this move, the world champion proposed open the center. Takes, knight c6. Really, the knight here is well placed. Probably on e6 will be better. It's still in front of one of the most advanced pawns, but on e6 is more centralized with better chance to establish some defense. But okay, Wesley did knight c6. Now we have e6. The idea of this move is just create an output for the queen on d7. At this moment, really, with a clear positional advantage. One of the ways to play in order to secure the advantage of the position is just trade queens. Even despite the black king is more exposed and we would like to kick the queens on the board, just trading queens is a quite practical decision to avoid any unnecessary complications. So queen d8, finally the world champion took the output, takes, black attack the pawn, white protect the pawn, Tarrasch rule, the rook behind the pass pawn, knight e5 increasing the pressure on the pawn, but now d7. So if black decides to capture on d7, white can simply capture on c7 with the pin. The game continues in this way, king g6, out of the file line of the rook in the 7th rank, and finally Magnus took on c7, protecting the pawn, and with these two connected pass pawn is too much advantage, and really black don't have any kind of counterplay in this position, and for that reason, Wesley So decides to resign at this moment, winning the Armageddon, the world champion. So after his victory, his reaction was quite emotional, because remember that he had 2 finals of the Champions Chess Tour without defeat Wesley So. So Wesley beat Magnus in 2 of those finals, and finally in the 3rd attempt, the world champion took his revenge. Let's see the reaction of the world champion.
Massive relief. I do feel at the end that we were both pretty broken, and sometimes it goes your way. But yeah, was a great fight.
Okay, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed the analysis of the game and also the short resume about the history of the Crypto Cup. Don't forget, if you enjoy the content, like and subscribe, share with your friends, and hope to see you in a new video. Thanks for watching. Bye.